Welcome to FBB Forum. If you like this content, please be sure to like and subscribe and tell your friends about this podcast too. I'm very pleased to welcome the stunning IFBB Pro Women's Physique and Bodybuilding competitor, Christine Porter, to the podcast. Christine competed at 3 shows this year in both physique and bodybuilding, including Texas, Tampa, and the Masters World Pro in Pittsburgh. And she got her pro card in 2017 at the NPC Teen, Collegiate and Nationals contest. And stay tuned to find out where she'll be competing next. Thank you so much for joining me, Christine. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, my first 3 questions are about how you got started in bodybuilding, and I was curious if you had an athletic or a sports background before you started.
I actually did not. I was never in sports. I was never very active in anything really. I did a lot of cardio when I would go to the gym for a long time. I never had a specific problem with being overweight or anything until I turned about 35 and I gained about 30 pounds.
Wow.
And that's what prompted me to start going to a gym and actually looking for a personal trainer that I could get used to help me lose some of that weight and do some weight training. He competed. I went and watched a show that he did, and here we are. I mean, I just fell in love with the sport immediately when I watched all the girls and the women on stage, and I was just blown away. I was amazed by how they looked, and so I was like, I'm going to do that. So it was a weight loss goal initially.
Okay.
Getting a goal to get myself back where I needed to be, and I knew I needed that motivation. So that's what got me started, and I just fell in love with it. So I just kept competing, and that was in 2015. I've been competing every year since.
Really? Wow, that's terrific.
Yeah. The only year I took off was the year we had the COVID outbreak.
Oh, yeah.
And I had already planned on taking that year off anyway to travel and go out of the country on vacation with my daughter, but it ended up I didn't go anywhere because we had COVID. So I took that opportunity to grow and just take that. Other than that, I've been competing since 2015. So
wow, that's really impressive.
yeah.
Do you think like at 35, I think there's like maybe a metabolism shut off kind of thing?
I didn't actually start bodybuilding until I was 40. So
oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So I worked with a trainer for a few years before I actually started getting into I'm going to go to the bodybuilding area mode.
Wow.
So I actually didn't actually start till 40, which is I think back now and I think that's amazing,
Yeah.
But good at the same time because I think a lot of people start young now,
Yeah.
and it can really take its toll on you. And if you can survive and you can last as a young person, but it's going to age you, and it's going to I feel like at 40 I had more maturity in my muscle, but it hadn't been used yet. So
Yeah.
so it was good. It was a good thing for me, I think. I was healthy. So
Yeah. That's terrific. That's great that
yeah.
you started competing.
Yeah. And when I first started, I didn't have hardly any muscle. And I look back at pictures of me now compared to then, I'm like, oh my God, I was a stick figure with no body fat. But
Uh-huh.
um so so I've come along. I feel like I've come a long way. And the fact that I was as old as I was, and the little muscle that I had, and the amount of muscle that I've put on.
Yeah.
To me, it's been a lot of work, but it's been something that I've enjoyed doing. So
That's
I
terrific.
love to be in the gym. I love it.
Really? Oh,
So,
that's great. Yeah.
and I power lift too. So when I do that on my off season is usually powerlifting. And so
So you're 48 now, is that right?
ah, I said I'm not intimidated by any question, but not really. I'm gonna be 50 next month.
Really?
So yeah,
Wow, terrific.
the big 50 is coming.
I'm turning 52, so yeah, next
Oh,
month.
okay.
So
So
yeah.
I've been scared of it all year, and then now after competing, I was like, you know what? I feel good about it. I really do. I'm glad that I can be doing what I am at 50.
Yeah.
And so, it's not that bad, I don't think. I think it's going
Yeah.
to be a good age to be. So,
Oh, definitely. Yeah. There's that
what do you think?
I'm kind of, yeah, I'm kind of excited
Yeah.
about it too. I mean, I feel, I don't feel that old. I feel younger than that.
Yeah. I feel like what you would say, I wish I could know what I know now and be 30 or whatever.
Hmm.
I feel 30 and I know what I know now. So,
Yeah.
a number doesn't matter,
I know
right?
what you mean. Yeah, exactly. I feel
So,
that way too, but I feel better because, yeah, older and wiser and
yeah,
making more money too.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's a great time. Great
it
time.
is. I was thinking about Sherry Priami kind of started similar, like when she was 42 and now she's 48, I think.
Uh,
And yeah, I'm impressed with her and other women like you have started in their 40s. I think that's really impressive.
yeah. Oh, I love, and my last show was the Masters Pro. And that's a master show is one of my favorite shows
Yeah,
because you see everybody and the maturity in the competitors. And some of them have been competing for 20 years and
yeah.
they're in their 50s, 60s, but they're just doing it because they love it. It's not
Yeah,
about anything else other than they love it.
yeah.
It's something that I really, really appreciate about masters competitors and older competitors. So
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think it's really impressive for sure. Yeah. Now, I was curious when you first started competing, were you nervous getting up on stage in a bikini? And do you get nervous these days?
I was absolutely nervous. I don't think I was so much nervous as to get up in a bikini because I knew I looked okay. I would think I was just more nervous about doing the poses
Hmm.
when I started in figure,
Okay.
and I was so worried about tripping on those with those heels on.
Yeah, I understand.
Um, I'm very clumsy. I'm not a heel person normally,
Uh-huh.
and so I had to work a lot to wear those heels.
Sure, I understand.
Um, in fact, I probably slid into women's physique a little bit earlier than I probably should have. I don't think I was as muscular as I could have been,
Sure.
but I did it so I didn't have to wear those heels.
I totally understand that.
So that's kind of what slid me off into women's physique to begin with. But no, I've never been nervous. Now I've developed a little bit of stage anxiety
Hmm.
over the last few years. And I don't know that it's because I'm nervous. There for a while, I went through a lot of, I got a place. I want to place better. I want to place better. And so I was very concerned with, uh, just so much concerned with how I was going to place, or
Hmm.
if I was going to place, that I just got in my head. I got to where I would get in my head.
Yeah.
This year, I was about um, trying to get up on stage and not feel that way and just
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Hmm.
And I felt like I did better with that than I have before. So
That's really good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because when I was amateur, I don't. I just loved being on the stage. When I turned pro, it kind of threw me into I'm in this little fish in this big pond mode, and I thought, oh my god,
Hmm.
I've got to do it right. I got to pose right. I got to get the judge to look at me. It became overly important for
Yeah.
me to just place. And I remember when a fellow pro, whenever she told me, she goes, now you got to remember, don't chase a placing, don't chase that. Because if you do, you're going to lose your love for the sport.
Hmm.
Well, that's easier said than done. We're all competitive.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
so I think I got so wrapped up in that kind of caused a little bit of anxiety when I would get up on the stage,
Hmm.
to the point where I would actually not pose well, you know.
Really?
Um, and so this year was better. This year, that was my goal, and I felt like I got up and was a little bit more comfortable up there. So
Hmm. That's terrific. That's really good though. That's great. And you looked
yeah,
really, I thought, confident up on stage this year too. Maybe
yeah,
that's really helping you, to feel more
right,
confident. Yeah.
right. Because yeah, that's one thing the judges notice right off the bat, no matter what, if you're confident or not.
Hmm.
And if you don't think you're going to do good before you even walk up there, then you're not going to look confident.
Yeah.
And that was a problem that I had because I knew that in the past I've not placed very well. And it was just kind of getting to me, as a
Yeah.
pro. And I feel like I lost some confidence in myself. And I knew that I was physique wise, I knew I had it. I just was overly underconfident and overly concerned with what the judges were going to think.
Mm-hmm.
And, you never can predict, and you never know who's going to stand next to you. You
Mm-hmm.
never know what they're going to want or who's going to judge the show. So I said, this year, I'm going to get up there. I'm going to show what I got. I'm going to pose the best way I know how.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it is what it is. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to enjoy it. And
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot more this year. So,
That's really terrific. That's great. I
yeah.
think that's good for other competitors to hear that too, Yeah.
Very important. It's
Mm-hmm.
very, but we all get in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
We're all very competitive, and we all, want to win. And you have to want to, or you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's
But you
true.
also have to be have realistic goals, and not fall apart or get overly concerned or anxious if you don't.
Yeah,
So
sure. I understand that. Yeah. I know some competitors who will stay away from Instagram for a few weeks or months before the show because they don't
yeah,
that'll get in your head because you're kind of comparing yourself too much to other people and not focusing on yourself enough, I think.
I
Mhm.
do. I get on there sometimes, but I usually post my stuff and get off.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, and I'll if somebody close to me or whatever, I'll like some of their stuff, but I won't stay on there too long before a show.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I do before the shows, and I play lots of solitaire.
Oh yeah.
I play lots of words with friends,
Uh-huh.
especially while I'm doing cardio. It's just constant because it keeps my mind completely off of everything
Oh, good.
and worry and cardio and what other people look like, what other people are posing like.
Hmm.
So I try. That's what I do.
That's a good idea. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah, keep
Keep
your mind
me
off
off
it.
my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. Now I was curious, where do you hope to compete next?
I don't know. I'm going to do some powerlifting at the beginning of the year,
Hmm.
and I don't know what I'll do next year. I'd like to try to compete at some shows that I haven't been to yet.
Okay.
I've not done the New York or the Chicago,
Hmm.
um, or anything out of the country. So I don't know yet. That's kind of up for grabs. I never really plan anything till after the beginning of the year.
Okay. Cool. Very
So
cool. Yeah.
I even hinted, my family is hinting like maybe you should retire, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I can do that yet.
Uh,
I don't think I can. But we don't have to talk about it. I don't have to tell them that yet.
yeah, I
So
understand.
I think the one thing, my daughter just wants me to travel with her a little bit. So
Sure.
as long as we can go a few places, I think she'll be okay with it. So
Yeah, that's terrific. How old is she?
she's 30. She turned 30 in July.
Oh, very cool. Yeah,
Yeah, I started early, so
that's great.
yeah,
Does she
we're close. We're
does
very
she come
close.
to your shows to reach you on and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's gone to every one of them. Her and my mother go. My mother hasn't been to all of them, but most of them. So
Wow.
we usually go in threes. And of course it's very stressful for them to go with me, because I'm miserable during peak week.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's hard on them because they're bored. They don't do anything for 3 or 4 days except
Hmm.
listen to me whine and cry and take
Oh
progress
no.
pictures and
Yeah.
oh my God, my this is not coming in or that's not coming in. And so they're there to help me, and they do wonderfully with me. um but I think my daughter's ready to retire from that job.
Yeah. She just wants a regular vacation, right?
She wants a regular vacation. Yeah.
No, that's cool though. That's great that
I
they
took her
come.
to Pittsburgh with me, and I said, I want you to go because I want to do some things, while I'm there. And she's like, Mom, we don't ever do anything when we go to these shows. Like, I just stay in the room. And I'm like, well, so this last one in Pittsburgh, I got an Airbnb instead of a hotel. And we went and did some things in Pittsburgh after the show,
Cool.
and it was all right. It was better. So
Yeah, that's cool. I understand that though, that she might want to do some more fun stuff outside of
yeah,
bodybuilding maybe. But
she
that's great.
travels to Mexico a lot, and so
Oh
she's
yeah.
like, "We're gonna go on a trip," and I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
"Okay,
cool.
yeah." So that's our next plan. Is she's supposed to take me to Mexico for my birthday? So
That's great that she and your mom are so supportive though, that they come into your shows like that. Yeah.
yeah, they
Um,
always have. Ever since I started, they've been very supportive. So,
that's terrific. Yeah, it's good to have that cheering section for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as a pro, because when I was amateur, I was local, and you
Hmm.
have all your friends that can go, and you have a lot of following and people. And I'm in Texas, so near Dallas, and there's a huge bodybuilding community. I mean, it's huge in Dallas, and so
Yeah.
um, but when I turned pro, I was traveling outward, and so nobody
Uh-huh.
knows that you're going, nobody and pays attention, and you do a show, and unless they see you at the gym getting ready for it, nobody really knows that you're even doing it. So it kind of the I lost a little bit of camaraderie, when I turned pro in that
Yeah,
respect.
sure.
Um,
I've
you
noticed
can't
that
take everybody with you.
from being in the audience that yeah, the pros don't get as much like cheering
Nope.
as you'd think, because the
Yeah. Now, if you're local and you have a cheering crowd that can be there,
yeah.
but most of us aren't. So we're traveling, and so we either have a lot of them bring a husband or just a family member or two, and that's all you got.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so
I just thought that more fans would be there to cheer, just
yeah.
and it's
Well,
not that's all.
I'm not as famous or followed as some of these other bodybuilders. So I don't know that maybe I do have fans. I just don't know about them. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, I
I don't
think
know.
like we were talking about earlier too before this call, you might be surprised like how many fans you have
Yeah,
too. So yeah.
yeah.
Um Now I was curious, you had competed in both women's physique and women's bodybuilding this year, and I was curious if you have a preference for one over the other.
I do. I love female bodybuilding. I do. I really think they're looking for. It's difficult with me. I have a physique that kind of doesn't fit into any particular category.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
longer limbed, um, little. I'm not tall by any means, but in bodybuilding, I'm tall. I'm
Hmm.
5'6",
Wow,
so I'm
that is pretty tall.
longer limbs look smaller on stage. I don't look as thick and full, I think, as some of the bodybuilders. And so this was my first year, so I didn't know what to expect, but I think
Yeah.
I need more size. Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
I can get conditioned. My conditioning is not a problem,
Yeah.
but I need the size. But
Sure.
I love it because I love the poses.
Yeah. Do you like those
I,
posing better, do you think, than
I
just
like the female bodybuilding posing better.
yeah. Oh, very cool.
Um,
Yeah.
but in women's physique, it's hard because a lot of the judging is going towards a lot of conditioning striations in women's physique more so than bodybuilding now.
Yeah. That's
Um,
true. Yeah.
and so, but again, I feel like I can be conditioned. Again, I just need some more size in certain places.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and specifically legs. My back is crazy, but from the front, I need wider looking lats, and some of it's posing technique.
Yeah.
Um, but my legs need to be a little bit, bigger. And that's always been my area of weakness, is not weakness, but getting my legs to grow.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah. I
that's
understand.
why I started powerlifting. So,
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they did respond, but for me, it's just going to be I just need more leg size. So
Sure. Yeah, I understand.
I have a
Um,
wider waist. So if I can get wider lats, wider legs, then it'll probably be better. So we'll see.
yeah, I totally understand. I was curious what's been your favorite bodybuilding show so far in your career?
I love Gary Udit shows in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Those are my favorite shows. He does amazing shows.
Mm.
With his whole show is so competitor friendly. It's all about the competitor. everything he does, I mean, down to texting, having an app that'll text you when you go on stage is just fine tuned. Um, and the Texas Pro that's been going on for the last 3 years with Sheila Brown and Freddie, they put on an amazing show, and it's competitor friendly. They really
Yeah.
want to make their competitors feel special.
Mm,
Those are the shows I love,
that's
and
great.
and those are my favorite shows. So,
Very cool. Yeah, I've
and
heard of it.
I like the Texas Pro because it's close to home and I don't have to travel too. So
Oh yeah.
it's just 90 miles from me, so I don't have to get a flight and travel and all of that. It makes it nice.
Oh, that's very nice to be able to that close to home. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then I do have my crowd here. You know, I do have the people that follow me here because they all have grown up with me and known me, and so I enjoy that.
That makes a big difference having that cheering
Huge
section, doesn't
difference.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I went to the Texas Pro this year, I mean, I saw all my friends that I haven't seen in forever, and a lot of people that I started bodybuilding with, and it was just really nice. It was like I was back home again when I was amateur, you know.
Nice.
But that there was
Yeah.
that spirit and that feeling of of why I started to begin with, you know.
Yeah.
And so, but as far as outline, I love Gary shows. Pittsburgh shows are amazing. I just love them.
Yeah, I know he bills the North American as the most comfortable contest format in the world or something like that. And yeah,
Yeah, everything his shows just flow.
yeah.
There's no not it's perfect. And ever since I started bodybuilding, even from nationals, um, they've just always been wonderful shows.
That's great. Yeah.
Completely, not one thing is left out. I can't even think of anything that didn't go right. So it's that way every year. So
I've heard that about Gary Udit shows. Yeah, he does do a really good job, I think.
mhm.
And making the competitors feel comfortable is really a good thing, I think.
Yep,
Yeah. I haven't attended one of his shows, but I'd like to just see what like from the fan perspective too.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now I was curious, in terms of prep, what would you say is the toughest aspect of competition prep for you?
Oh, it's hard to say. I think the biggest thing that's the hardest thing for me is just fitting time wise when things start to get more intense as far as more cardio check-ins. That's really the thing that is the hardest for me.
Hmm.
It's all hard, but I set my mind to something and I don't ever think anything else.
Hmm.
This year was more difficult because I went back to school. I was in school, I was working full time, and I was in prep.
Hmm.
And my first show was right about the time that my summer semester ended. So
Hmm.
it was a little intense there for a while because I was up to an hour and a half or more of cardio.
Wow.
And just I worked night shifts, so fitting it all in was very, very intense.
Hmm. Wow.
But it I just made it work, and it's just my mindset. It just when I set my goal to it, when I set my mind to something, I do it. I just don't think about anything else.
Okay. Wow.
And so when you say hard, it's all hard. Any kind of dieting for me is hard,
Hmm.
but I get into a routine and I stick with it, and I just don't go out of it. So, but the hard part was fitting it all in.
You mentioned you work in healthcare. Do you work as a nurse?
I'm a nurse practitioner.
Oh, are you? Oh, very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
And so I do critical care, and I've done critical care, and I work at the hospital here in ICU, and I work night shift, and I
Hmm.
work a 5 on, 5 off schedule, which is nice.
Yeah.
But then I added, I'm going back to I'm changing my practice to psychiatry,
Oh,
just
really?
completely different. Yeah. So
Wow.
I'm going back to go to school to be a psych NP. So I had to go to school and do a lot of clinical time. So I had to do clinicals, prep, work. I honestly just talking about it, I don't know how I did it.
That must have been exhausting. Wow.
Yeah, I had to plan every second of every day. There was a lot of real early mornings.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I had to get up early and sit and go to the gym at 2 o'clock instead of sleeping until 4, I just did it.
Wow. You'd have to be really organized to pull that off, I think.
Very, I
Yeah.
was very organized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I was thinking about this when I was planning it out. I'm like, nothing can go wrong. Not one thing can go wrong, or it will set all of this back.
Yeah.
And luckily, everything went okay. And first and second shows. So
When you said night shift, are you working overnight?
7P to 7A.
Seven.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's tough too.
Yeah.
'Cause I always thought it would be tough to do night shift like that, because if you're doing 5 off, 5 on, and then you have to kind of like shift back to like a regular person schedule,
Yep.
on the days you're off. So it'd be tough to transition from
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I've been doing that ever since I started.
Really?
I figured out what's best for me, and I used to try to stay awake on my first day off.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured out that wasn't good for me, because I just, the lack of, you can't ever get that sleep back.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just come home from work, eat my last meal, go to bed, wake up, and pick up from there.
Hmm.
Whatever time I woke up, that's the meal I would pick up, and I would eat until I went back to bed, and then go to sleep, which I had no trouble doing, and then go get up, and then I'd be normal again. And
Hmm.
then the day that I go to work, I just would eat all day, all my meals, and then I'd go to work and just keep eating every 3 hours
Hmm.
again.
Hmm.
And just that was what my body liked the best.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, but this year I've decided to go to a day shift spot because I feel like the night shift this year really kind of, I think that I felt like there was a period of time where I took a bunch of vacation between the second, right before the second and between the third shows.
Mm-hmm.
I was off for a long time, and or a good 3 weeks. And that made a huge difference in my physique for the third show.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I'm thinking now that it's time that I need to go to a day shift spot and see how my body
Mm-hmm.
is, because I'm getting to the age where my hormones are different.
Mm-hmm.
My body doesn't tolerate night shift as well, and my prep too. So I think my body needs the day shift spot to be able to continue to bodybuild. So
Yeah. I
so
think
that's,
that.
and when I get my psych NP and I start practicing psychiatry, most of
Mhm.
that is day shift anyway.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's my decision, is to go off to day shift, and
Mm-hmm.
so my body can do better, because I need
Sure.
to do better if I'm going to look better. So
Yeah, I totally understand that. I think that's a good move too. I think that would probably be
yeah.
better for you in the long run. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I was curious, what advice could you give to, rising pros who are kind of struggling with competition prep?
I talk to a lot of people that I see. I think, there's a lot of things that I would like to say. I like to say to them, and I think the biggest thing is it's okay to be. I think the ones that have come up to me and talked to me really appreciate me saying it's okay to be moody. It's okay to be in a bad mood. It's okay to feel like things aren't right, or I
Hmm.
don't feel good, or it's okay. I mean, it's okay to feel like, um, have days where you're like, oh, I look terrible, or I just don't know if I can do this, or I'm just totally bitchy today and I'm lashing out at everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the ones that I've talked to really appreciate me saying, no, that is normal. You want to be like that.
Yeah.
You don't want to be sick, obviously, but those are times when your body's changing, making those changes, and those
Mm-hmm.
struggles you have when you have a day where you just feel like you're just going to cave and you just can't eat that diet anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
you just can't do it. You just gotta suffer through it, wake up the next day, and you'll feel differently. It's your
Okay.
body trying to make those changes.
Hmm.
And I think they really appreciate hearing that, because especially their first show, they don't know what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, and I see a lot of females that have male coaches that don't really like to deal with the female issues that we have,
Yeah.
emotions, and
Hmm.
that's normal. Men don't like, a lot of men don't like or don't know to approach that with their female clients, and
Mm.
they like to hear that things are okay, and this is okay as a female to feel this way, or there's a lot of things that they ask me, like about the tanning and the suits and the female side of the thing, that side of the of bodybuilding and competition, that a lot of times male coaches don't really get to
Hmm.
their
Yeah.
client,
They haven't really lived it too. They don't, yeah,
Yeah. And I
firsthand
used to
experience.
do that. I used to, for my first coach that I worked with, I kind of handled that for all, just as just to keep me in the, my mindset on in the off season. I would help his female clients and work with his female clients a little bit,
Oh yeah.
some with posing, and just going with them to their shows and being the mom,
Uh-huh.
backstage mom,
Yeah.
going with them to photo shoots that afterwards. And I used to do that just for the heck of it,
Uh-huh.
just for the support of it. And the girls loved it.
Great. Yeah.
I don't have time for that anymore, but
Yeah.
but they really appreciate it. I think it was almost it kind of spoiled them a little bit, because not everybody gets that opportunity to have somebody go with them and just hold their hand through last few days of getting their tan and going backstage with them, and just being there for their support, and um you know stuff like that. So
Sure. No, that's really cool that you helped them like that too.
yeah, I don't have the time to do it anymore.
Yeah, I
um
understand. Yeah.
so but I mean, it was I like doing it.
Have you considered being a working as a coach? I know you're busy with the as a nurse practitioner, but
I've coached and I've prepped a few people. I liked it, but it's very it's funny because it's very stressful for me. I want them to do well, and um I get very stressed out about them doing well and
mhm, yeah.
handling their prep,
Hmm.
more so than I am like in an ICU taking care of a critical patient. It's crazy. It's crazy. I
Really?
felt more responsible for this prep than
Yeah.
um so, but yeah, I've prepped a few people. I get so um there's always clients you have that are going to do really well, or they're going to not be very compliant with what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I don't ever get um angry or mad at any of them. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
so, I was like, so I just decided that's not for me. I liked, I like to keep it separate. I like to keep bodybuilding and power training separate from what I do full time, because it's
Sure.
an escape for me.
Hmm. Oh, that makes sense.
And
Yeah.
I think that by doing that, I lose a lot of fan base or followers in the fitness business in general, but I'm
Hmm.
okay. I like to be separate. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Um,
I understand.
and I think, and part of my goal of being a psych NP was to actually do some psychology as well, was because I wanted to start migrating and start helping with the hormonal changes and the post-show depression issues that women have, and
Mm.
men too. I
Yeah.
was seeing it a lot, and I myself have dealt with it. And I was thinking about it and really processing it, and a lot of sports psychology. And so that's kind of what got me into wanting to do psychiatry and psychology in general too. So I'll probably, when I'm done, kind of focus in on um, um, combining it with the athletes that do powerlifting, bodybuilding, or any other athlete as well. So,
We're going to get cut off in a second. Could you do a
oh,
quick?
sorry, I told you I'm a big talker.
Oh, no problem. Do a quick flex for me and talk real quick.
Well, let me see. If I can get you in the camera. Get me in the camera. Is that a good flex?
That was awesome. Yeah, thank
I
you.
barely
That's
see
great.
myself.
And thank you so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
Sure, anytime.
And I'll get this posted soon. But thanks again, Christine.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Take care.